Welcome back, motion peeps. How about we start with a brief history lesson?
The year was 2013 and Superman was back in theaters. The brothers at Warner had cooked up another exciting adventure from the hero of the comic strip. But what's this? The critics are divided on this motion picture presentation. Is this the end of a new talkie serial? 2 years have passed and the Man of Steel returns to fight the caped crusader known as the Batman. Alas, once again the critics are not amused. And soon the brothers at Warner continue their losing streak with a new adaptation of The Dirty Dozen. It is now the year 2017 and the theaters are flooded by people waiting to see the latest adaptation from Detective Comics. Will this latest picture be the one the brothers at Warner have been waiting for? Only time will tell.
Today we'll be looking at Wonder Woman, the latest attempt to put the DC Extended Universe back on track. Full disclosure, I enjoyed Batman v Superman and Man of Steel. Suicide Squad? Not so much. Will Smith made it tolerable. But as much as I enjoyed those other two films, they weren't great. They had their flaws, which some people were more able to forgive than others. But enough about those films, let's talk Wonder Woman. The film starts and we're introduced to a young Princess Diana. No, not that Princess Diana, that Princess Diana. Anyway, she's living out her life on this cool island with a cool name that I can't remember. And she's secretly training to be like this warrior princess. Yeah, it's fun stuff with lots of sweet montages. Anyway, I've got to talk about this island, right? Never have I seen a medieval fantasy realm realised this well on screen since The Lord of the Rings. With the welcome use of actual physical sets, this place feels legit. And it's inhabited by these people called the Amazons, who are all women. All women? Yeah. But how do they,
Reproduce?
Yeah. The power of Greek mythology, of course. But soon enough, as was bound to happen, a man falls out of the sky, and to cut a long story short, it's World War I. No, that wasn't just an expression. The film is actually set in World War I. I really should have written myself a script for this video. But back to World War I and Greek mythology. Actually, a surprisingly clever combination. What with the God of War possibly being behind the early 20th century militarism, makes you wonder, who really shot Franz Ferdinand? But it's refreshing enough to see this kind of film set in the Great War. I mean, we're so used to seeing the Nazis in these movies. What about when they were just called the Germans? Not that I have anything against German people. It's just, historical bad guys. I'm digging myself a hole. But the war itself isn't just there as a cool setting for an action movie. It has thematic relevance. Superhero movies have always been about the good guy versus the bad guy. But what happens when they enter the murky morality of an actual war? But seriously, this movie's called Wonder Woman. I haven't talked much about the Wonder Woman herself. Well, Gal Gadot brings a really strong performance to the table, in the physically demanding action beats as well as the more dramatic and quiet moments. And Chris Pine brings some effective masculine counterpoint as the British spy with an American accent known as Steve Trevor. They share some good chemistry together, and we the audience share some great laughs at their expense. But the film isn't called Wonder Woman and Steve Trevor. The star of the show needs her time in the spotlight. But boy does she get it. She starts beating up bad guys left and right. The theme song starts to kick in. The audience is like, yes! And she's like, are you not entertained? That might be a different movie, but it's exciting stuff, right? But soon I started to realise that she was perhaps too powerful. Then the film's stakes decidedly dropped. You see, for a hero to be compelling, they need this weakness to overcome. Like an unbeatable force that just tells them, no you don't. And the more they push against this force, the more their character is revealed. But the more the bad guys are just ragdolls, the less we get of that. Thankfully, we eventually do get this formidable opponent. But no spoilers, alright? So, in a nutshell, Wonder Woman, the character, is pretty sweet. But as much as we come to these superhero movies to see these great characters put on screen, let's face it, we're really here for some action scenes. Now, the action certainly doesn't disappoint, for the most part. Now, I got this sneaking suspicion that it was actually producer Zack Snyder behind the camera for these sequences. Not that I didn't think director Patty Jenkins couldn't pull it off. It was just very much his style. The whole slow, then fast, then slow motion again reminded me a lot of 300, except without all the blood and guts. And surprisingly, it actually works really well. Unfortunately, in my opinion, the best action sequence in the movie is quite early on. And I was a little let down by the climax, just because it wasn't quite as exciting. And the occasional reliance on noticeable computer-generated visuals sometimes took me out of these sequences. Overall, though, the action doesn't disappoint. Now, if you're a nerd like me, you're probably wondering, is it the best DC movie yet? Personally, I'm partial to the Lego Batman movie, but yeah, it's better than the other ones. You'll believe a woman can fly. Well, she doesn't fly. You'll believe a woman can jump. really high.
This movie is rated F for fantastic.
And that's my review for today. Till next time.
The Monkey Picks.